I don't know what it was, but it was there and then it was gone. I did appreciate the sprinkles, though.
Oh, yes.
I took a moment to be like, oh, look at the colors.
Multicolored sprinkles. Hello, 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 and welcome to Well Shit. It really is that simple. I'm Claire.
And I'm Serena. On this podcast, we help you to understand about your 12 universal needs, why they are currently not being well met,
how to meet them in ways that work for you, and how to consistently do so in quick, easy, and simple ways that fit seamlessly into your life.
We'll also help you to understand how doing so will have a positive ripple effect in literally every area of your life.
If you like what you hear, sign up for more support with meeting your needs with your weekly Universal Needs notes at theuniversalneeds.com.
And enjoy the show.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, everyone.
So today we are celebrating.
We're always celebrating.
I know, we should have had glitter.
We keep missing these like glitter opportunities and the amount of glitter that's in my life.
Glittertunities.
Glittunities.
Glitterunities.
Ooh.
Well,
Heard it here first.
Although I have to say I vacuumed last night, so I'm kind of glad that we don't have glitter right now, because I think I just about got rid of some of the last.
I was gonna say
outing.
don't even say all the glitter, because there's never getting rid of all the glitter.
I don't know whether I told you, but the last time we I don't know whether it was after Fantasy Fest or what, or whether it was when we went to Tutu and got caked in glitter, Oh, that's my trick. Smacking the pop screen. But the person I'm seeing was round and helping me with clearing up after that. And he was doing the bathroom. And after lots of intense scrubbing, he discovered that the bathroom counter has glitter in it. He didn't realise he kept trying to get rid of the glitter, and then realised. And it's funny because I didn't notice, I didn't know to think, but now every time like I go in there, I'm like, oh, it actually does. And yeah, I can imagine he was like in there like trying to scrape it off.
That's pretty good. I actually think my bathroom floor, it's kind of like my necklace that superimposed glitter to it. Like the glitter is part
it's just
of the
there
woodwork
now.
now. Like every person after, you can try. I've tried with scrapers. I've tried with brushes and solvents, and glitter just sticks.
It just is.
It
just is. It's just always going to be there. So do you want to tell them what we're celebrating today?
Yes. We are celebrating my 3rd year anniversary with the company.
Yay! So 3 years ago today, on a little step outside the Key West Library, over really yummy sandwiches, I said to Serena, I have a feeling you're meant to be part of the business. While my brain was going, what are you doing? This is your best friend. Don't ask her to be part of the business. Business and friendship don't mix. And here we are 3 years later, and just getting started. Getting stronger. Like it's like getting stronger every year.
Yeah, I actually, Claire had given me a lovely little tree, which is kind of,
if I move my head, you can see it.
Way.
I just realised it looks like Baby Groot at a distance. You don't know who Baby Groot is?
I do, and I don't think I would if you weren't talking about the movie this morning. But like,
I just watched the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special this morning, which was ridiculous but kind of funny.
Yeah, not necessarily my thing. But.
No, but it's like I'm just like over like at a distance. Mm-hmm. I'll show you Baby Groot later. You know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of.
I know. I'm aware. I've just never sat through.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt with all the Grootness, but
yeah, the sweet moment where I was talking about the card that you gave me. But it's like just seeing 3 years on there seems mind-blowing with the amount that's gone on, the amount that we've accomplished, everything that's done. I mean, we've been podcasting for over a year now. Like that just
right, wild.
Yes,
it's kind of funny because like in some respects it feels like we only just started, and in others it feels like we've been doing this for like a decade.
Yeah, but I really do feel like it's the start of like.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of bubbling going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, it's kind of funny because we've also just brought somebody else onto the team.
Yes.
We you won't see her necessarily on the podcast or anything, but she is doing amazing work behind the scenes, helping us out with actually making sure that this gets out to you. So she's going to be doing like our show notes and scheduling all of the social media and the podcasts and the vodcasts and all that sort of stuff. And actually, she's contributed a little bit to today's podcast as well. So it's kind of feels really apt that it's like it's all this sort of celebratory time, because it kind of feels like, I mean, obviously the business had been running for a long time before Serena came on board, but it really did feel like that was kind of the birth of the Universal Needs as it's kind of standalone as it is now. Obviously the Universal Needs have been going for years and years and years before that, but they really felt like that was the beginning. So it's kind of apt that the same sort of time of year that you came onto the business, and that really kind of took its own form, that we've also now brought this third person, Joe, onto the team, who will be helping us to do what we do so that we can do more of what we do, which is kind of the whole point. Like the thought of what I'm going to be able to do now without needing to do all of that podcast stuff by myself. I'm like, it's kind of exciting. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what we create next.
Well, it's interesting, like having just like even the littlest things pulled off our plate, and is somebody else knowing that somebody else has it handled. Like it's like, oh wow, I didn't realize how much that little thing was taking up
like mental real estate,
right? Yeah. And it could be something so simple. Like one of the things that I would do would be to just post to the group daily, and sometimes just even that was like, okay, I have like this checklist of what I have to go through, and then you're going back and doing all the things, and it really is it's a nice and interesting feeling to have an extra layer of support. So.
Well, you imagine how I felt 3 years ago when you came on, because before that it was just little old me. So I'm kind of excited that you're getting to experience that now as well, and we have our little kind of Groot in the background, it's There was a donut. There was a sprinkles covered donut. There is not a sprinkles covered donut anymore.
Inhaled that. All of a sudden, I was like, "Oh, and it's gone.
Bye."
It melted in my mouth. I just happened to shove it in there real fucking quick.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't even have to worry about somebody. I mean, I was the only person in the space that would even want to eat this donut because. Being vegan, Claire can't. So I don't know what it was, but it was there, and then it was. Gone. I did appreciate the sprinkles, though.
Oh, yes.
I took a moment to be like, oh, look at the colors.
Multicolored sprinkles. Oh, look at the sprinkles. Yeah, I think I want that as my ringtone for you now. Like, oh, look at the sprinkles.
I'll do a better live version with like an actual tub of sprinkles, so you get like the sprinkly crunches in there. Maybe it can be a video every time I call it pops up, and I'm just like eating the sprinkles.
I mean, this has to happen. I'm just saying.
There's so many things that have to happen.
I know, but this is going to be like all of those other things. Just like, yes, we're going to do that, and like by the time the episode is finished recording, we're like totally forgotten. It's like
watch this be the one thing that happens. Yeah, remember that time you said I had to eat sprinkles?
Oh my God. So today we are talking about something that is kind of fundamental to the Universal Needs work. And it's something that really takes this kind of basis of having our needs met and amplifies it. And what we're talking about today is...
the ding, ding, dings.
Today we're talking about the ding, ding, dings. So what exactly is the ding, ding, dings? So the ding, ding, dings are basically when the way that you choose to meet your need, like... basically, when you go through the Universal Needs program, what we have a practice set up in the morning that will take you through being intentional about finding the way of meeting the need that's going to really work for you in that particular day, and given where you're at and the priority needs and all that sort of juicy stuff at the time. And that practice only takes between like 5 to 15 minutes. But what it does is that you go through with each of the needs, you go, this is how I'm going to meet this need today, this is how I'm going to meet this need today. And then at the end of the day, you go back and review and get to feel grateful and appreciative of the fact that you've had your needs met. You get to feel having your needs met for the day, which is great. But the ding ding dings is where whatever the thing is that you've chosen to do to meet one of your needs that day, so often because our needs are not these kind of unique, kind of distinct things where it's like, oh yes, this is one need and that need's over there and this one's in the corner and that one's in the tub. Like, it's not like that.
Your needs have their own little need house.
Oh, absolutely. One's like, we don't talk about the one in the basement. Like,
is it in the neighborhood?
Yes, it is. So these needs aren't these distinct things that are all kind of off doing their own thing. What you find is that the needs often interact and relate to each other and interact with each other a lot of the time. So a lot of the time when we're doing something, it doesn't just meet one of our needs. It actually meets multiple needs at the same time. And that's what we call about the ding, ding, ding. So it's like, you imagine, oh, I've met this need, ding. Oh, I've also met that need, ding. Oh, I've also met that need, ding. So it's like, and ideally what you want to do is you want to light up the entire board and have all of your needs being met with one way of doing it, which is actually quite common. Like, it's not very I think people think you have to be doing all these different things all the time to meet your needs. And it is good to find the things that are going to really resonate with a particular need for a particular time, day, where you're at, etc. But in actual fact, it's very, very common for whatever you do to be meeting more than one need. And it is very common for it to be meeting the majority of your needs in one go if you find those things that really kind of juice you and light you up. I remember I had a client many years ago who she was a photographer, not professionally. It was just something she did as a hobby. And she told me we were kind of meeting one day, and she said, "Oh my God, I had this amazing realization." I was like, "What's that?" She said, "I was out," and she'd gone through the program before we split the program, because now we do the program is split into two. So you do the roots and the trunk, the survival and intrinsic needs in one program, and you do the branches and the leaves and the fruit, the expansive and the enriching needs in the second part of the program. Because what we found was, after doing it one way and doing all the needs in one go, we found it was a little overwhelming for people.
It's like a fire hose.
I mean, it's a lot of information just when you're doing needs 1 to 7. Throw in the other kind of 5, it's a lot, but this is before we'd figured that out, or before I'd figured that out, because it was before 3 years ago. It was before Serena came and joined the program, joined the company. So she knew all 12 needs. And what was really interesting, she was like, I suddenly realized that being out in nature, photographing these flowers, was literally meeting all 12 of my needs at the same time. I'm like, that is so cool. Like, I love that she found that thing. And when we say, like, when we talk about doing things that meet your needs or meet multiple needs at the same time, it doesn't have to take a lot of effort. It doesn't have to be something where you're going out and doing all these different things, or you're doing out something that's going to take a long time or a lot of energy. I remember one of the stories that I actually tell in the program is, I remember I was in Ireland as I was developing the universal needs, actually. And I woke up this one day and I was like, I am spent. I'm exhausted. I am just going to lay in bed all day. And this was a time in my life where I didn't do that very often. I mean, it's not like I'm doing it once a week, but these days, if I need that, I will take it without any hesitation or reservation. That was a new experience for me of like, oh no, it was an actual conscious choice. In the morning, I am not leaving bed today. I'm staying where I am. And I realized I met all 12 of my universal needs by lying in bed all day. Like, legitimately, all 12 needs, ding, 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 across the board from lying in bed. So it doesn't have to take a lot of effort, doesn't have to take a lot of energy, but it's where you have this one thing that you're doing, which is lighting up multiple needs on your universal needs tree. Because that way, if say you're working with 7 needs in the morning, I'm going to do something to meet all 7 of these needs. Well, if 5 out of those 7 needs are ding, ding, dings, then what you'll find is, yes, you might be meeting the 7 needs, but you're not just tending to meet them once. You're hitting them again and again and again with the different things that you're doing. Now, it's really important to say, before we kind of move on, is that it's important that you are still prioritizing the things that are particularly going to meet that need that day. You don't want to be like, oh, what's the thing I can do that's going to hit all my needs in one go today? I'm going to do that because that's the easy way of meeting my needs, because you tend to find it's going to be less fulfilling, right?
Yeah, the ding, ding, ding is more of the sprinkles on the meeting of a specific need,
yes,
rather than searching I could only see myself in the past, like, spinning myself out, trying to be like, I have to get a ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
And that in itself is actually compromising my needs. So I'm like getting a dong, 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 I guess. Like, is that the opposite of a ding, ding, ding?
Oh my God. It is now.
I'm on fucking fire.
It is now. Like, yes. Yeah, you definitely don't want a dong, dong, dong. No, that's not going to go. That's never going to end well, is it?
You know what? I'm just going to move on because we do not want me even circling the rabbit hole that I just saw. So those ding, ding, dings, we talk about them kind of lighting up the universal needs, your own universal needs tree. But what those ding, ding, dings are really are those feel-good moments. You're like, ooh, that feels good. Ooh, that feels good. Ooh, that feels good. Ooh, that feels good because of this. Ooh, that feels good because of that. It's something as simple as me taking a sip of water. Foundation
As
function
beautifully
need.
demonstrated right there. Ding.
Oh, free promo for that one.
If you're on the video.
If you're on the video. But drinking water will meet my foundation function need of nourishing, hydration. And then also my value need is met because I'm like, I value myself enough to drink that sip of water. And I didn't
take care of your well-being.
To take care of my well-being.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it to meet my value need. I did it because I knew I needed hydration, but it met that value need as well. And it's like, oh, it felt good. I did that for myself because I knew that's what I needed. And I prioritized myself rather than I have to get through this podcast and I have to film and I can't take a sip because God forbid I take a sip of something during, the podcast. I used to think like that. I mean, yeah.
It's like being professional means that you have to not do any of the things. I mean, it's interesting
you
how
can't stretch. You have to be.
You can't stretch. You can't go to the bathroom. You can't drink. You can't eat. Like there's so many things associated with it. It's I think we've done almost all of those on the podcast so far.
Well, I can think of we actually had Clara had made a post on Facebook the other day about how we've been. What was the wording you used about?
So basically what we were talking about is how important it is to meet your needs when you first need them rather than waiting and later until later. And when we've done work with organizations, whether that work has been remote, whether it's been when I've been back in the UK, it doesn't matter. What tends to happen is that when in that scenario, because most people are like, oh, I have to be professional, which means I can't go to the bathroom. I've got to wait until the break, or I've got to wait until the break to have some water and what have you. So what tends to happen is that it's led us to literally create spontaneous applause within our working groups whenever we've been doing works with groups, that when somebody gets up and says, I'm just going to the bathroom, everyone's like, yay, good for you. And I didn't make a point of like removing my hands from away from the mic so deafen you listening to me right now. But yeah, I mean, literally, and it became this sort of thing that initially it was kind of a funny thing, like the first time it happened, and then it ran and it ran and it ran and it ran and it became this thing. And I think because it became this thing, it meant that everybody in that space remembered it more. I mean, I remember there was one point where Serena kind of tried to sneak off to the bathroom. And
I almost got there.
And I let her go far enough to think that to think that she got away with it, because I'd seen it. The other delegates who were involved in the session at the time hadn't. And like when I saw her sort of slip out of the line of sight, I just gave it a minute and then I was like, yay! And everyone else I went, yay! And like she came back and the look she gave me was as if to say, I thought I got away with it.
Yeah.
Nuh-uh.
But I mean, the thing is, like, I went to the bathroom. Like, I walked out in the middle of what we were doing. It was like, and, I tried to sneak away. So I made sure this space was held by somebody else. At that point, it was Claire. And even though I was slightly like, I didn't get away with it, it still felt good.
Right.
Like there was an extra layer of celebration, and that right there was a ding. I mean, I haven't had ding ding dings peeing since I was potty trained, I don't think. Like,
oh, no. We know that's not true, because when you first started...
Well, no. I mean...
Oh, as in like before the universal needs.
Universal needs. Right. No, I celebrate the fact that I go pee. Like, I even do it for myself. Like, I'm like,
love it.
Look at me go and pee. Like, I normally, like, just realizing I normally would have worked through that. I normally would have continued grocery shopping and then gotten home and be, like, dancing into my house, like, throwing the eggs because I have to go so bad.
Right.
just park your cart and go in the,
Right.
at the supermarket, because that's where you had to pee
Or-
an hour and a half earlier.
Or it's like, I've just got to finish this email, or I'll just finish this piece, these pictures I'm working on, or whatever it is. I'll just finish this.
in a
It's
minute.
like,
In a minute.
why?
In a minute.
Why not do it now? Because you are worthy of having your needs met now. And I think that's the thing about this, is that when it comes to kind of meeting our needs, one of the things that really helps with the ding, ding, ding is to know what your universal needs are, because that's one of the things that helps you recognize, hold on a second, like when you do something, it's like, oh, this is so good, I'm meeting this need, this feels really good. And then you like mentally you kind of go through the tree from the roots up, you're like, oh, hold on, oh, that means that one, oh, and that means that one, oh, that means that one. Like, and every time you notice that it's meeting another need, you get that, as Serena says, that little ooh, like that, like oh, that feels good, like that feel good factor. You get another hit of it, because you get to realize, hold on, there's another layer to this. There's another layer of benefit, of nourishment of myself from this thing that I'm doing.
And think, if everything you're doing every second of every day is being done to meet your needs, if you
Is
know,
it?
we should do a podcast on that. We're so silly.
Yeah.
We really are.
If you haven't figured this out by now, I mean, where have you been?
Right. We've actually started recommending the podcast to people who are like, okay, find an episode that resonates with you. It's probably going to be a little bit further on past like episodes 1 through 15.
Mm-hmm.
Find one, listen to it, then go back to the content heavy episodes, because we realize it's a little less of us and a little bit more of...
You get a little bit less of the silly in those first few episodes. You get
a
lot less of the silly, because...
I was trying to edit myself.
And we're trying to be like, we were trying to be professional. That was it. Like, and now we're like, oh, this is us. Like, if you
hire us, like, there'll be a consciousness of professionalism, but you're still going to get us.
This is us.
Like,
you're still going to get this. This is us being us, is us being in alignment with our needs. Mm-hmm. And by us being us and being in alignment with our needs, we invite other people into that space too. Like, you don't have to edit yourself. You don't have to mask. You can be you and still be in this space of being professional. And you just have to look at the testimonials we get. Like, people have unbelievable results working with us like this. Like, it's fun as well. That's the thing. It's like, you don't just, it's like, it would be really easy for us to be like focused on just the heavy important stuff. You must concentrate,
pointers,
professional, and exactly. And like, you get the results, but you get it in a fun way. I mean, like, that's a ding, ding, ding as far as I'm concerned. Like,
you get applauded for going to the bathroom.
Right.
Like,
it sounds weird, but it's kind of fun when you do it. Like if you can you imagine that if we like sold into like one of the corporates that we work with, going, oh, on one of your bonuses, you'll get applauded every time you go to the bathroom. You imagine someone reading the pitch going, fuck, like, what do you mean that's what we're gonna do? And like, on the surface, it's not something we kind of broadcast, but in that moment, as soon as we start doing it, everyone's like, you could see people like, oh yeah, look at me. I'm like, because in order to learn, I always say, like, the act of learning about needs is in of itself a practice in learning how to meet your needs. So if you don't learn how to meet your needs as you are learning how to meet your needs, then you're kind of working against yourself. You want to be doing this in the beginning. So that's why we say, if there is something you need to share, by all means, bring it to the table. If you need something to drink, if you need something to eat, if you need to go to the bathroom, like if you need to get up and stretch and move around the room, like do what you need to do to take care of yourself so that you are in the best space possible to be able to understand and learn about needs. And a lot of those things, we're in that space, they are the ding, ding, dings.
Well, if you lose track and you're like, I cannot stop focusing on cookies. It's just the random thing that came to my mind.
Happens a lot around here.
Us thinking about cookies or me going somewhere random.
Yes.
Yes. Both are true.
Yes.
If that's all you can focus on, we're like, all right, where's your head at? Like, I can tell you're not here. Where are you?
Yeah.
Focused on cookies. Okay, you want to
Okay.
talk about cookies for a minute?
Yeah.
No, I just like some at some point.
Well, let's go get the cookies now so that...
Yeah, do you want them now?
Yeah.
No, I just want them at some point. Or no, I want... Yes, I need a cookie to get this thought out. Cool.
Okay.
Here's a cookie. Moving on.
Yes.
And it's not like a bad thing. It's
No.
like, okay, you are honoring the space of the cookie.
Right.
Like, I mean, sometimes
You need to honor the space of the cookie.
You do.
Yeah.
Like if you, it's whatever you're feeling and I mean, you may not need a cookie at that point, but you're obviously wanting something.
Something's distracting you. And I think that's the thing is if you're being distracted from the things that are the reason that you are in a space, that's one of the things. It's like, well, we don't want to be distracted. So what do we need to do to clear that distraction? It's why with Serena and I, if we're working, if something comes up, it might be something relating to our personal lives. It might be something to do with our social calendar. It might be a niggle.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
Niggle monster. The reason that we do all of that is the reason we clear those things when they come up is so that they are not in the space, so that they're not distracting us from the other things. Well, and doing it when it first comes up means you don't lose that time. And the chances are that doing that thing when you first bring it up, like when it first comes up, the act of doing that, you're meeting a personal power need. Like this is how it becomes a ding, ding, ding. Because it's like, I'm meeting whatever need, the cookie or the niggle or whatever it is that is up right now that I'm putting into the space. I'm meeting that need, but I'm also meeting my personal power need because I'm choosing to respond to this thing. I'm also meeting my value need of saying, okay, I'm like, whatever it is, I'm worthy of being heard. I'm worthy of doing what I need to do in order to be present in the space. That's just two. Mm-hmm. But in that moment, that one thing becomes a ding, ding, ding. Literally, those three lit up. And chances are there may be others as well, depending on the specifics of the circumstances.
Yeah, I have a couple that just came to me too. I mean, you'd probably be meeting your love need too, the connection, because then you're like, oh, it's not you. I'm not disconnected from us. I'm just thinking of a cookie.
Right.
Like, and that's where my head is at. I don't want you to think it's because I don't want to be here in the space with you.
Or I want to clear this so that I can be present with you so I can be more connected.
To kind of circle back to where I was going before I went off on that little cookie tangent.
Well, this is new.
Was circling back and remembering what I was talking about.
All of the above.
Because everything we do every second of every day is done to meet our needs, by knowing what your needs are, you start to realize how often you are meeting your needs, which is like every single thing. Mm-hmm. Like me leaving the house to come here was meeting my needs.
And it wasn't just meeting, and like a lot of the time it's like, oh, I'm meeting my foundation functionally because I'm going out to work, which is going to earn me money or whatever. It's like, well, actually, no, I'm also getting security from that. I'm also getting my connection need met because I'm enjoying the person I'm working with. I'm also getting acknowledgement because she walked through the door this morning. It's like mid-sentence about somebody else, like sharing about some stuff that was going on in her life with people who she cares about. I'm like, can we just pause for a second? Happy 3 years. And she's like, oh, and so she got there's multiple needs that are getting met from this one act. And often it's not the needs that we necessarily think it will be. Like, oh yeah, I'm doing this. I'm going out to work, foundation function need, bringing in money. Well, that is part of it. But the interesting thing is that we're actually getting a lot of our other needs met. One of the things that I've found out recently, I just got my certification from Yale in the science of well-being. And one of the things, one of the pieces of research they were talking about in there, I'll find it and drop it into the show notes, is about how a lot of the time people who are in what's described as a flow state, that tends to happen more when you're at work. And when you're in a flow state, you tend to be feeling good because you're feeling challenged, but you're rising to that challenge and you're growing in like things, you're using your skills in a really good way. Like there's a number of different qualities that you feel good, like you when you're in a flow state. Well, that feeling good is because the things you're doing is meeting multiple needs at the same time. Well, the interesting thing is that actually happens more from the research when we're in a work environment than it does in a leisure environment. Like if you think about like enjoyment, you don't think about, like most people would think you're going to get more enjoyment out of leisure than you are out of work. But actually this particular form of enjoyment, actually you get more at work than you do when you're at leisure. And what was interesting was that as part of the research, what they did was they asked people when they were in that, like they measured what they would do. First, to identify what they were doing, then they identified how in flow they were, In work, there was much more of it than there was in leisure. And then what they did was they asked them what they would rather be doing. Would they rather be doing the thing they're doing right now? Would they rather be, if they were at work, would they rather be at work, or would they rather be at leisure? If they were at leisure, would they rather be at leisure or at work? And the interesting thing is that the people who were at work would prefer to have been at leisure, and the people who were in leisure would prefer to stay at leisure, even though a lot more of the needs often, and that ding, ding, ding factor of like getting multiple needs met was often being met at work. And some of that's our conditioning and like the thoughts that we have, like work is it's hard work and what have you. And it may be that also the work environment is costing our needs in some way, shape or form, but it also may be that our leisure time and how we're spending our leisure time is more about recovery from the exertion of work than it is actually about creating enjoyment and getting multiple needs met. That is until you start understanding more about the universal needs and how to create these ding, ding, dings.
Well, it's funny that you brought up the work thing, because there have been so many times in my life where I've always been, I consider myself a hard worker. I've been in the grind before.
You've got a good work ethic, definitely.
Yeah, I do. I that's something I've always prided myself on. I work hard. I give my all. It's just what I do. And I'd go away for a vacation, or I'd have some time off. And where I really noticed it is when I got furloughed and then laid off during COVID. And it was the first couple of weeks, I'm like, yeah, like I'm going to sleep in. And Claire and I started talking every day and going through the program and doing work. And I was doing all these things that were super fulfilling. And then like that kind of became the usual, and that was great. But I started to really miss work after like 2 weeks. I'm like, kind of want to go back. I'm like, why? Like it was slightly messy before I left. Like, why do I want to go back?
Just a little bit.
A tiny bit.
Just a little bit.
Little spill.
Little bit.
Yeah. But it's true. I really I realized how like there was a drive that was present at work that wasn't as present in my leisure life. It's like, oh, I can do this now. I can do this later. It was laissez-faire. And I was like, no, it meets my needs to have schedules, to have projects, to be in a work flow, but I don't necessarily need to, now I've learned, I don't necessarily need to be in a slightly messy situation to have that flow.
Well, it was true of a lot of people during the pandemic, actually. Like, was that a lot of like kids who were like, they didn't want to be at school. They would rather be at home until they were stuck at home for months and months on end. And it's like, get me back to school. We're going to go back and see my friends.
My teacher.
Yeah. And like the same thing was true of a lot of people, is that there were things that they realized that, I mean, it worked in a number of different ways. That some people were like, oh, hold on, actually, I enjoy being in an office environment. Some people are like, whoa, yeah, work's a bit messy. Maybe we need to find work that's not quite so messy.
Realizing whether you actually like to be in social settings and if that meets your needs, or it actually meets. I don't think a lot of people realized how much they didn't like the office setup, and they're like, I get so much more work done working remotely. I'm able to be more present with myself and my family, and
I'm not doing a commute for so many hours a day. Like, that's lost time. It was very revealing in terms of needs. Certainly the pandemic situation, and I think what's really interesting is that when you're doing work where you are like if you're doing a job which is in and of itself meeting multiple needs, like what we do. I mean, I don't think I've ever had a job that meets my needs as well as what we do now. I mean, even the stuff that, I mean, don't get me wrong, when you run your own business, there's some boring shit to do. Like, anybody who knows me well knows that accounts and finance is not my happy place. So much so that when I was doing my business and IT degree, I was able to select modules of things you like that you could choose to do. And the first thing, anything with finance, accounting or economics, immediately straight off the list. I didn't even care to find out which type they were. I just didn't want to do them. So yes, there are some things that are less fun as part of that. But generally speaking, it's such a fulfilling way of working, because we are doing things where we're exploring our creativity and we're challenging ourselves and we're learning new things all the time, and like it's and helping people, and like it's a really fulfilling environment. And what's interesting is that when you have a really fulfilling environment where you've got that ding 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 across the board, those ding ding dings we've talked about previously about like our resilience and our level of resource, those ding ding dings are building our resource. So when we talk about like the Star Trek shields of like our capacity, like where if our shields are at 100%, we can take hits from the outside world and we're only going to drop our shields a little bit. The ship's not going to get hit. So it's like, okay, we're down to 80%. Well, if you do a few ding ding dings, bam, that goes back up to 100 super quick. The interesting thing is that when you're doing multiple ding ding dings, when your resources are high, you can do the shit that you're really not that interested in or find boring or makes you want to lob your laptop in the swimming pool. Which I've had the inclination a couple of times, especially in the last 6 months, I'm not going to lie. There have been some moments, but generally speaking, doing those things becomes, okay, this is part of this, and it's doable. Mm-hmm. It's like I don't have the same reaction to it that I did when I wasn't having my needs well met. And more importantly, what's really interesting is that I can find ways of doing accounts and finance that also do ding ding dings, and that's what it becomes really interesting. It's funny actually, because I probably learned about this oddly from my sister. My sister's an accountant, and when I very first started in business, she was doing my accounts for me. She was helping me out with it, and she also knows my relationship with numbers and math and finance. It's not that I can't do it. I'm decent at that sort of thing. I just don't like it. And I used to get really, really stressed and really overwhelmed. And what was really interesting was that I would go over to her place to do my annual accounts. And what I would do is I'd get there and she'd be like, okay, so she'd have something like entertaining on the TV in the background, so that if I needed a break, all I had to do was literally do that. Like, and it wouldn't, like, I like noise in the background while I'm working, so it doesn't stop, it doesn't distract me from what I'm doing. It was just like something that she knew I was going to enjoy watching was on in the background. So it's like, if I'm getting overwhelmed here for a second, I can look over here. She had chocolate on hand because she knew that like if I was getting stressed, she'd like push a piece of chocolate my way. And also my nephew, she'd be like, here, have him for a second. He'll make you laugh. And I actually have photos of him, like, it looked like he was my accountant, like helping with the, like, he was like sorting through the receipts, like where like that particular one moment that like really kind of comes to mind. And the interesting thing about it is that what she was doing was she knew that doing accounts would stress me out. She knew that I would get anxious about it. I would get like tense and stressed as we were doing it. So she was looking for things that, without knowing it, it wasn't like oh, I need to make sure I can meet Claire's needs while we're doing this. But in this time when my needs are being compacted, she was finding things that were the ding ding dings for me that would allow me to get through the things that are more challenging. And that's one of the things that's great about the ding ding dings, is that if you know these things that are going to be really good for you, that are going to help and support you, those are the things that at those times when things are difficult or stressful or challenging, you can now, and now I don't need her to feed me chocolate and hand me a small child in order to be able to do my accounts. I mean, one of the things was because I hated doing accounts, I would leave it. I would push it and I would not do it, which meant I had a mountain to do at the end of the year. Now, most of the time, this year has been an exception. It's been a very exceptional year with the amount of work we've had to do with like visa applications and other things. Most years what I do now is I will do the accounts, like the day-to-day stuff, on a weekly basis, every 2 weeks, maximum once a month. All right.
Forgot how to swallow.
You're supposed to swallow it, not inhale it.
I'm like, do I need straws now? Like, what's that?
I mean, you inhaled the sprinkled donut without any issues, but apparently...
liquids.
Yeah. Sparkling water, a whole different thing. I've scrolled myself.
Oh, you're pulling at me.
Yeah. No, so here. Like normally, no, I'm winding it back. I've caught the train and run, caught up, jumped on. I'm going to do it again if I'm not careful. What I do is I find the ways of doing the things that are stressful and difficult that are going to meet multiple needs. So I do it more frequently, so it's not as stressful. It's easier. I remember what I'm doing more because I'm doing it all the time. I also find other things. So I put music on that I enjoy while I'm listening, while I'm doing it, because then the music's ding, ding, ding while I'm doing the difficult thing. Oh, and that rhymed. I think we're both on fire today. Right. What I would do is I'd give myself something to look forward to at the end of it. So at the end, there would be something I know, once I've finished this, I'm going to do that. Because again, it would that way of doing something that's going to meet multiple needs that acted as my motivation. And it kept me upbeat while I was doing the stuff that was more challenging. So the ding ding dings are not just something that it's a nice bonus. I mean, it is, but it's also actually a really helpful tool that when things are challenging, you look for those things. And when you look for those things, those are the things that are going to help you through those times even more so, especially because when we're in those periods of time is short. Capacity is low, energy is low. So you want to find the things that quick, easy, simple, but are going to be ding, 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 ding across the board. That's certainly what got me through the visa situation, like doing a yoga practice for 10 minutes. Whew, massive difference in how I was when I was doing it and when I was not doing it, as Serena can probably testify.
I can. We're not going to make a podcast about that one.
I'm sure it'll come up.
Yeah, many, many times. One of the things that I love about the ding ding dings is when a ding 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 leads to, it's a small ding 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 leads to a bigger ding ding ding. It's almost like a progression, steps. You realize what feels good, and then you're like, ooh, if that feels good, I wonder what will feel even better. And one of the places that I noticed this almost immediately is in my own physical wellness. And first was stretching. Yeah. So I'd stretch and it'd be like, oh, that feels good. It physically, it feels good. It feels like it opens up things just internally in general.
Yeah.
Meets my value need. I mean, there's a lot of needs that stretching can meet. Mm-hmm. So once I got used to stretching and I'm like, all right, that feels good. And I'm like, what would feel even better? I feel like the stretching isn't, there's still something. It could feel even better. Okay, I'm going to go to the chiropractor.
Yeah.
So then I can stretch. And when I need a little bit more, I go to the chiropractor. And then it was the same thing. It was like, well, that's meeting a lot of needs. What could meet my needs even more? So I talked to, we've talked about our massage therapist who has a magical brain when it comes to how the body works.
I mean, you can just end up magical brain. I
mean, yeah.
She just does have a magical brain. I mean, I know where you're going with this and you're right, but I mean, you could just end it there and it's still a true statement.
Her knowledge of the body is
absolutely.
I mean, for a massage therapist, nothing I've ever experienced before, but that is a different story for a different time. Mm-hmm. And we started talking about preventative wellness, and that resonated only because I had started stretching and then realizing that the chiropractor helped. And she's like, and there's a lot of privilege in this. She's like, if you were able to see me every week or even every other week, she's like, think of how much better you'd end up feeling from the consistency standpoint. And I'm like, oh, so I can get a ding, ding, ding scheduled every single week. I can schedule my dings.
Absolutely.
And it did that little stretching, that ding, ding, ding led to the chiropractor. That was a ding, ding, ding that led to the preventative wellness, which has been the biggest ding, ding, ding in my physical health recently. Because
it's like a domino effect.
It really is. Yeah. And when it's something that feels like, oh, that feels good, and I did it for myself, and I did it because I'm worthy, and it's just, you can wrap yourself in those dings and it's like a little snuggly hug.
Does that make it a sniggle? If it's a ding, ding, ding that you're being snuggled by?
I'll buy into that.
Works for me. So the interesting thing is that we actually had this podcast episode scheduled to record this week anyway, and then then Jo, our new colleague who we just brought on board, she actually sent something completely like randomly. We didn't ask her for contributions to this specific podcast, but she sent through this thing, and she was saying about, and we were like, oh my goodness, this fits perfectly into the Ding Ding Dings episode, which is that when meeting your needs, even if you just target one need, you're never just going to be affecting that need alone. And that's the thing, is that these people think about these needs as these, like I said, these distinctive things that are in these different places, and like, oh, if I'm taking care of this one, like these guys, I'll get to them later kind of thing. But in actual fact, they all interact, they all interrelate with each other. And when you talk about the needs formula, it's going to be like, not your needs formula is never just, oh, well, how is this affecting my personal power need? It's this and it's that. No, because there's other needs layered onto that, and they're going to be in different places. So you kind of look at the overall effect is what we're looking at. But what Joe was saying is that even if you just target one of these needs, you're never just affecting that need alone. So for example, she was saying that she's trying to increase her awareness of what serves her and what doesn't. And by choosing to switch tasks from something that wasn't serving her quite so well to something that was serving her better, her personal power need does this. And I love how she described it as like, does a happy backflip. And it's like, that's what a ding, ding, ding feels like. Like when you have a need met, it's like, ooh, like, it's like that. It's like, and that's what it feels like. And then in addition to that, her value need gets fulfilled because she's reinforcing her worthiness of doing something that she's worthy of doing something that nourishes her. And then her acknowledgement need gets fulfilled too, because she then is acknowledging how she's feeling in the moment, as in about what works and what doesn't. And it's like just needs on needs on needs on needs on needs. And it's like, the thing about this is that this was never something that was in there by design. Like it wasn't something that I was like, oh, you know what would be really good is if you do the ding, ding, dings.
We need a sound element in this
Absolutely, which we've actually taken out because the sound effect.
Too many dings.
Yeah, too many dings. Way too many dings.
Audible dings. Yes. I can take or leave. Needs ding ding dings.
Oh,
I'll take all of them.
Absolutely, every single one. And the interesting thing is that what happened was that the more we got to understand about needs, the more we understood the nuance of needs. That was when it was like, hold on a second. It's so very, 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 very rarely are you ever just going to be affecting one need. Mm-hmm. In fact, I cannot think of a single situation where you are only ever affecting one need. Can you?
Mm-mm.
You're always going to be affecting multiple needs, always. Because the fact that you're choosing to do something, your personal power need is always going to be in play. No matter what it is that you're choosing to do, whether you're choosing to do something or you're not choosing to do something, your personal power need is still going to be in play. So,
well, and also, like, I
just thought, I'm like, I see the look on her face. I really, if you haven't ever watched one of these podcast episodes all the way through on Patreon, please go and have a watch, because like I was like, looked at Serena's face for a second. I'm like, oh, there's a thought brewing. Like, where are we going with this?
I have a face for radio.
No, you have a face for vodcasts, is what you have.
I always used to. I was one of those people when I did customer service. I'm like, just put me on the phone, please.
Yes.
I can speak very well. Most of the time I can speak very well. My face is really hard to control. And I'm at the point in my life, like, I just don't. I'm like, no, if I'm thinking, like, I don't need to be thinking of what I'm trying to think of and thinking of keeping my face in some sort of...
It's written like, all over.
Yeah. So I was thinking...
I was saying your personal power need is always at play.
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't you say, like, the lower on the needs tree of the need you're meeting, the more it's going to affect the rest of your needs? Like, I'm thinking of, like, specifically from the foundation function of getting sleep. If you get sleep, you're automatically meeting everything above it, because...
Not necessarily everything above it. Like, for example, you're probably not meeting your acknowledgement need unless you're stopping to acknowledge the fact that you're sleeping and that you're meeting your need. And I think that I think you're right, actually. I think the lower you are on your tree, the more likely you are to be meeting multiple needs, because the lower on the tree you are, the more critical these needs are to be met. And so the greater the impact they're going to have. Like, so your sense of, like, the extent to which you are valuing yourself by giving yourself what you need to survive feels like orders of magnitude probably bigger than the effect you give yourself by acknowledging yourself, which is an intrinsic need. And the same thing will be true of the needs that are in the branches and the branches and leaves of the tree. So I think that you're right. I think that there are certain needs that are always going to be in play. Because if you are meeting your needs, chances are your value needs in play. If you're meeting your needs because you're choosing to do something, chances are your personal power needs going to be in play. There are certain needs that are always going to be in play, but I do think, and also just like, I'm thinking about it, I think you're right that the lower on the tree, the more, because you tend to get more needs met above a need than below it necessarily. Is that true? I'm thinking like if you're doing something in terms of your personal, if I'm doing something to meet your personal power need, chances are it's probably could be meeting needs underneath it. I think it's more to do with that the fundamental nature of the lower needs of the tree. I shall go away and ponder this a little bit more. Watch out for new content.
Watch out when I put my thinking face on.
Yes.
Sometimes I even stump Claire.
I think the thing is that I think the challenge with this is nuance. Because there's never just a one, like this is the way it is and that's the way it is. In certain circumstances, yes, this is going to be true. And in certain circumstances, actually, that's going to be true. So I think, we try to kind of shy away, as you heard about in the absolutes episode. If you haven't listened to it, we'll put the link in the show notes. Is that we try not to say this is the way it is, because depending on the circumstances and depending on the nuance, it can vary. So I kind of shy away a little bit from saying this is it or this isn't it. But I agree there are going to be certain situations in which that's definitely going to be true. And the ding-ding-dings are something that normally all you have to do is go through your needs. You tend to find them, whether you would without even being aware of it. You didn't even realize they were there, and you're like, go through needs, like, oh, hold on, hold on, oh, this one too, yay.
Yeah, when you go looking for them, it's
yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say it's simple, but it really kind of is.
It is.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take much time.
I'm not going to talk myself out of the fact that it's simple and easy, because that's what we've...
Well, shit. It really is that simple. I mean, there might be a reason we called the podcast this. I'm just saying.
I'm trying to debunk the whole podcast right here in this episode. I think it's...
I feel like I need a water pistol. No, Serena. Step away from the podcast, Serena.
Newspaper. No.
No.
I think it's interesting because we were working with an associate at one point, and that didn't really had a very surface knowledge of the needs. I mean, like the gloss over this is what we do. And we were working with them on a project, and she goes, well, ding, ding, fucking ding. Right. And I was like, first, yes, that's my new phrase. Second,
I'm surprised it's not boundaries, fucking boundaries, quite frankly.
Well, now it is. Just like that has changed. But I really found it, like, there was so much about her saying that I was like, you don't even know the depth of what we're talking about. Yeah. But you see that this meets, like, there's so many things that this meets. Like, doing this one thing, it's like, yeah, it hits there, it hits there, it hits there. And she was like, oh, all right. And she leaned in. Yeah. And then it was like, well, and this and this and this and this. So, look for the ding, ding, fucking ding. Yeah.
And the interesting thing is that she didn't even know what the needs were. No. Like, she didn't even know what the needs were. She didn't even realize when she was talking about, when she said that, what she was saying was, oh my God, this is going to be so powerful. Like, as in, like, this is the solution to so many things. Mm-hmm. It's like, you could be right there. You might be onto something. Wait, we might have a podcast about that. But I mean, literally, it was like, and both, like, Serena and I looked at each other and were like, oh, you have no idea the extent to which this is the solution, because what we're offering, what we're proposing in this project is going to hit. And in that one, I would say every single need.
Mm-hmm. It was a ding, ding, ding. And then it was a ding, ding, ding from the surface. And then when you look in it, it was like a ding, 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 ding. I mean, it was just bells all around. It's like, oh, I mean, a lot could be done with this one.
Yeah.
This one ding has exploded into many dings.
I don't think that's the thing. Is it's like if you imagine like the ways of meeting these kind of dings. The ding is you basically meeting your need, and if you imagine it a little bit like a chain of bells, like where like if you ring the first bell, the next one will ring. It may not ring quite as loud as the first one will, but there's like a ripple effect that goes along the chain. And I think that that's kind of what tends to happen with needs. It's like we're focused on this one. It's like, ding, like we're going to ring this bell. And then they said like, that kind of goes along the chain. We're also going to be doing Christmas decoration, putting up this afternoon. So I think that my brain's in the Christmas bells mode as well.
You're all about the holidays.
I'm all about the holidays right now. And I know this makes no sense to you listening right now because I've got a feeling this is going out around April time. So you're going to have a little bit of festivity midway through the year. I mean, you got to expect nothing less than that from us, surely. Mm-hmm. We did debate whether actually we should take the decorations down to podcast. We're like, oh, hell no. Let's just enjoy that whenever this goes out as well. Who the hell knows when they're going to be listening? But that just adds an extra little something, I think, to the episodes. But I think that idea about the bells and like focusing on one but it's still having this ripple effect down the chain is a really good visual for you to be like, oh, hold on. And that means that when you're focused on a bell, and when sometimes we can get so focused on that bell, we're only focused on what needs is this, like what is this need? And is this need being met? But if you have that kind of visual in your head of the chain, you can be like, oh, hold on a second. What are the other bells in the chain? Like what needs being met by that? What needs being met there? And when you go looking for it, that's when you're like, oh, we got ourselves a little jingle bell rock right now.
Did you have that in your head and you were trying to figure out?
Nope, that literally came out
that was
as it happened.
That was really good. I also think with the ding ding dings, there's a lot of times, really in the recent past, where I've gone to do something. And I'm like, I take the pause and I'm like, all right, is this really what's going to meet this need right now? And then it's like, and I actually I think of like, let's say yesterday is a great example. I had a bunch of stuff that I could have done yesterday that I quote unquote should have done. And I was like,
according to who?
the conditioning of you have to do more, you have to be busy, you have stuff to do, you have to do it, rest is not important. All of those
That's why
things.
I asked the question. Because I'm guessing the people, like whoever it is that's listening to, like you listening right now, I'm guessing you're going, oh, yeah, I've been there. Mm-hmm. I have that.
And I had friends text me, what are you doing today? And just adding to the list of things that I could possibly do. And I have this long-standing FOMO, which is fear of missing out. And it's like I have to do all the things. I have to be all the places. I need to be involved. And once I commit, I'm committed. And all of this stuff, like all the things just fluttering around me like snow. And yesterday I was like, all right, all this stuff. And I just sat there for a minute. I'm like, you know what? If I just say I don't know what my plans are to everybody, because I don't know what my plans are, and honor where I'm at, which right now is on the couch in my PJs, just kind of muddling through the things slowly. Wow, that's actually going to beat more needs than me committing to doing this and then all day being like, oh, I knew I shouldn't have committed to that. Like, and
you went from FOMO to JOMO. You've not heard of JOMO?
Oh.
So FOMO is fear of missing out. JOMO is joy of missing out.
Huh. No, I never heard of JOMO. I was like, what does Joe have to do with it? He sat next to me all day.
No, not Joe. JOMO. So JOMO is the joy of missing out, which is the joy of, and when people talk about JOMO, that joy of missing out is that because doing the thing would have compromised my needs, but actually not doing the thing is meeting my needs, and that's what's giving me joy.
I like that.
There we go. FOMO to JOMO.
I really like that. I hope I remember it.
So I'll remind you. Don't worry.
Be like, do you really want to do this, Serena? JOMO.
Joe will be like, who's Mo?
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah.
We should do a Joe episode. He listens. So.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, honey? He's like, no.
Watch this space.
Dun, dun, dun.
So I realized I kind of jumped in a little with the FOMO to JOMO. Was there anything else you wanted to finish up with that with? Or did the JOMO kind of...
I mean, the JOMO definitely rerouted me. It didn't derail me. It got me on a different train of thought. But no, I just... Once you realize what your needs are and that there are ding ding dings and that you can create the ding ding dings and you can find the things that ding more, ding harder, like it starts with something little and you're like, oh, that feels good. And then it's like, all right, if that felt good, like, how's this going to feel? Oh, that feels
it's
good.
like, imagine those bells on that chain. It's like, oh, ding, ding, ding. It's like a little bit. And then hold on a second. If I like, oh, ding, 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 like, oh, like you watch like, woohoo, like all my bells are jingling.
I'm playing like tetherball with my bells and just like smacking it.
Woohoo!
Take that bell, ding, like, yeah, that feels good.
Like jamming out to all my bells ringing. It's awesome. I think that's probably about it for today. Is there anything you want to add before we finish up with our ding, ding, ding?
I am good.
It's kind of funny that we ended up with the bells like as the kind of visual, because said we're going to be putting up my Christmas decorations this afternoon, and I said to Serena, like, one of the decorations that I actually bought yesterday is something of a kind of long-standing family tradition, in that the bells are not always in everybody's favor. We have a set of bells that gets put up over the doorway when at my family home, and my dad frequently goes out to the garage while we are during the Christmas festivities, because that's where our spare fridge and spare freezer are. So goes out to get drinks or food in or what have you. And my dad's not a fan of the bells. And I think that from the time we were very small, we quite enjoyed the fact that Dad was not a fan of the bells. So I bought my own bells so that I can annoy everybody here as well.
Every time a bell rings, a dad gets annoyed in the holiday season.
As I said, it's not quite as catchy as the original, but it works. But like, it's become like one of those kind of little kind of in family jokes, and it's not like a real problem for him. It's just that he kind of does the eye roll about the bells coming out again. I'm like, well, I need some here then. So I kind of feel like it's kind of balanced up the bells in my mind. The bells were like this thing that irritates people. I'm like, oh, but now they're ding ding dings. Like,
don't worry, Jeff, I got the eye roll for you.
Serena will be making sure it is covered. I have no doubt. Okay, so that's it for our ding ding dings, and we're off to get some jingle bells going. Anything else before we finish?
No.
In which case, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. We hope that you've enjoyed the ding ding dings and that you will go on to create more for yourself. I was about to say, I was just no idea where that was going. Like my brain just stopped working mid-sentence. So I'm going to go. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourself. We're sending you lots of love. And remember, between now and next time, to continue to meet your own needs. Bye-bye.
Bye, friends.
That's it for today.
If you like what you heard
and would like to see some of Serena's awesome facial expressions,
check out the video podcast on YouTube.
And remember, you want a ding ding ding, not a dong dong dong.
Well, shit. It really is that simple.